Come, let me take a walk with Brother Tiki. You'll see our landmarks and our monuments. They're so unique. The hybrid structure, lighthouse, the tallest one.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Kaieteur Radio. The radio with a difference.
99.1 FM.
COVID-19 tips sponsored by Deck Soap. 1. Practice social distancing. 2. Wear your mask when leaving the house. 3. Wash your hands regularly for 20 seconds using our Deck Soap. 4. Cover your nose and mouth with a disposable tissue or flex elbow when you cough or sneeze. Choose Deck Soap for that extra cleanliness. Deck Soap is affordable and available nationwide.
It is now 13 hours 34 in Guyana, and now it is time for elections and COVID-19 watch with Leonard Gildarie, and alongside his missing co-host at this time, Dr. Mahadeo. He promises to be on shortly, and it promises to be an eventful day. But in the meantime, Mr. Leonard Gildarie and Dr. Mahadeo have a lot to talk about. So, good afternoon for now, Mr. Leonard Gildarie.
Yes, good afternoon to our people in the studio here, Kevin and Raj and Joshua and the rest of the folks. Good afternoon to all our beautiful people in Guyana, wherever you join us from across this land of ours. It's still the best country, according to you, in the entire world, and we are going to protect it with all our worth, all our lives. So wherever you join us from, whether it's overseas, locally, thank you very much for that. It has always been a pleasure. Since it's 142 days since that March 2nd elections. And there's a couple of things, many things that we want to discuss today, including what has been transpiring in the courts. At 3 o'clock, we're going to have to cut our regular program in here to bring you a live feed from the Court of Appeal, where an appeal has been filed to Chief Justice Roxanne George decision a few days back. That live feed today is supposed to be the case management, and meaning they're going to set a date. It could happen as early as this week at that Court of Appeal hearing, and we expecting it could be as early as Friday. So this afternoon, the Court of Appeal is going to have the case management where it sets who's going to speak in what order. And by now we're all familiar with the routine of what it is. So we're going to cut in at 3 o'clock and bring you the live feed from the Court of Appeal with that. And you can get us not only on Facebook, Kaieteur Radio Facebook, but we are going to get you Kaieteur News online. We're still trying to resolve our YouTube issue, which somebody has reported us, as always. They have been trying to get us so many different ways to shut us down, but we will not retreat, we will not surrender. But let us get right into it as we await Dr. Mahadeo, which we have many things to discuss. We will get right down into the meat of the matter. You look at right in Kaieteur News today, July the 22nd, 2020, Guyana has a choice, democracy or the abyss. This is the OS Secretary General, and this was yesterday. There was a special meeting of the Permanent Council to discuss the Guyana situation, and 21 countries would have spoken, and it was very, very clear, overwhelmingly, and this is the US, Brazil, even Venezuela, shamefully enough, has stepped in to tell Guyana, to whack the finger at Guyana and say you need to get it right. There is also on the front page of Kaieteur News, the main headline, OAS, this is the Organization of American States, it's a 30-something odd member country body, which includes Canada, Brazil, Venezuela, a couple of other countries there, Barbados and so on. And so they say 21 countries call for declarations using recount results. And this is coming from Bradley Freden, U.S. representative to the OAS. In his statement, as he says, it's not too late for Guyana. We call upon the leaders to respect the results of the democratic election if stalemate continues. However, it will only be the Guyanese people who suffer. APNU AFC and its leaders face a strong choice. Does the party want Guyana to be a leader in the hemisphere, or an example of democracy, or does it want to be an international pariah? So this is coming from Bradley Freden, U.S. representative of the OAS. Basil Williams falsely states that the CCJ nullified recount figures. You recall that he would have made statements to the OAS forum yesterday, and that statement there was very, very clear that the CCJ recount figures has been nullified by the CCJ has nullified the recount figures. Democracy delayed is democracy denied. So Ronald Sanders, he would have made a statement there yesterday. So would 21 countries. And he is the Sir Ron Sanders, no other than an ambassador to the US for the Antigua and Barbuda, that little island nation. It's two-island nation, rather. It would take a generation to repair the damage done to Guyana's image. OAS Observer Chief, this is Bruce Golden yesterday, in his opening statement, very, very strong statement, very harsh statement there that would have set the tone from what was to come with all those rest of the countries who would have been addressing through the representative to the OAS forum, to the Permanent Council. Bring the curtains down on the elections circus, FITUC tells coalition. The coalition files appeal to overturn CJ's ruling in elections case. First hearing set for today, 3 p.m., and that is where we're going to cut and bring you. But in the meantime, I'm not sure if have we been joined by Yog. In the meantime, while Yog is going to come, I must tell you that there is a statement coming out from the APNU AFC, the alliance. It was read by no other than a senior figure within the coalition, former Cabinet Secretary Joseph Harman this morning. He read a statement which is basically saying that they will not recognize any figures, and this is very, very important. They will not recognize any figures that is going to be part of the declarations that includes any fraud or anything. In essence, what he's saying there, that the figures, the declaration recount figures, they will not recognize it under any circumstances. In the same statement, he's also making it very clear that the coalition stands ready to have talks with the other partners, with the other stakeholders about this election, about the way forward. So this is major, this is breaking, it is going to have an impact because there's a court case which is supposed to be respected, and he's saying that basically we are not going to be paying attention to whatever figures, the recon figures that is, and we are not going to abide by that. We prefer to have talks. So that is a very big statement at this point in time. So I could probably very quickly read to you what he has said. Statement of statement of the A Partnership of National Unity Alliance for Change, APNU FC, on the political situation in Guyana. Elections, general and regional elections, were held on 2nd of March 2020 in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. The results of those elections had not been declared by Monday, July the 20th, rather, 20 weeks afterwards. Delays in the declaration of results were caused in part by several appeals which were made during this period to the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Caribbean Court of Justice to provide interpretations of electoral and other laws and to resolve problems arising from the elections. The people of Guyana await credible declarations by the Guyana Elections Commission. A partner for national unity plus the Alliance for Change, APNU FC coalition, is committed to a lawful and credible declaration of results based on valid votes. The coalition has taken note of the ruling of Chief Justice Roxanne George on 20th of July 2020 in the case of Messenger Jones versus the Guyana Elections Commission chairman et al. The APNU FC coalition has always remains committed to the judicial process. That process is incomplete as it stands, and the matter has been appealed to the Guyana Court of Appeal. Such an appeal is lawful, proper, and guaranteed under the Constitution of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, supreme law. The coalition now await the outcome of the appeal. The APNU FC coalition is resolved to ensure that a fraudulent vote, and this is important, cannot be factored in to represent the will of the electorate. Any attempt to include fraudulent votes in the declaration will constitute a violation of the Constitution and the fundamental principles of democracy. We maintain the Election Commission can only make a declaration based on valid votes. The recount process, which was conducted painstakingly for 33 days, revealed massive irregularities and extensive fraud, which can be foisted on the Guyanese people to contrive an outcome that betrays the will of the electorate. The APNU AFC coalition in the national interests and with a view of maintaining stability and peace remains open to dialogue with other political parties and stakeholders on the way forward for our country. The APNU FC coalition is prepared to act responsibly to bring a resolution to the ongoing political situation. So there you would have had it. And I see my good co-host, my partner who has been with us foot to foot on Elections Watch, and then of course, which is a very good program, the Room 592 is with us. A good day to you, Yog. I hope that the weather has not thrown you off course, has not derailed you.
Weather? No, Leonard. The weather is lovely Guyanese weather. What is throwing us off course is a bunch of terrorists that has held Guyana at siege. Guyana is under siege, Leonard, held at ransom by a group of terrorists that now wants to negotiate. And today, I think APNU AFC has played the card that we were saying that it is one of the cards they may very well play. When they see that there is no other way for them to twist or turn, Leonard, they are going to say that they will never accept the results of these elections. And basically that's what you read there, that they're not going to accept the result of the elections. They're not going to accept the results of the declaration from GECOM. And you do what you want about it, and they're open for negotiations. So you do have, Leonard, it is what it is, and we need to call it, I guess, the way it is. You do have a group of persons that has decided to hold this country at ransom. and they want to negotiate with you.
How do we go forward from here? Because it's obvious, on one breath, you're saying that we await the court issue, but on the other hand, you're saying that regardless how this goes, whatever it is that the court rules, because the court has already ruled, this is the Caribbean Court of Justice all the way up there, that the recount process, the recount figures are what you're going to use. You're already saying that you can't use the recount figures. Where does this leave us, and where does it leave the GECOM chair now? Because Justice retired Claudette Singh would very well have her work cut out now. I think we are in no man's land. I think we're in a very, very dark place. Whatever place we were before, or up to this morning, before the statement here, I think we have gone to a place where, despite 21 countries calling for a declaration using the recount result, this is not only Brazil and Venezuela, the US and Canada, and everybody was there, part of that arrangement yesterday, that forum. It's a permanent council of the OAS. It's one of the biggest forum in the world. It's almost like CARICOM and Commonwealth, the United Nations General Assembly there, the yoke.
That's right. Leonard, look, not only have they issued a threat to this nation, what they have basically said to everybody who was not voted for them, that your vote doesn't matter and it will never matter. Because, Leonard, if our votes cannot be of importance in these 2020 elections, it will never matter. No elections in the future will matter to the APNU AFC unless you vote for them. That is what they're saying. In addition, they have said that this morning, knowing that they are filing an appeal at the Court of Appeal today. So they're also threatening the Court of Appeal that unless you rule our way, we're going to have this state of emergency. And they have said to the Guyanese people, it will be a state of emergency unless we get our way, full stop.
Well, I'm not sure, Yog, where that leave us, because I'm a little puzzled here now. You signaled...
Well, I can tell you where that leaves us. And this, you know, viewers and callers, and Leonard, you and I, we have been very patient and very calm with the chairman of the Elections Commission. What APNO AFC has done this morning is to pull out any authority. These people who said they're not interfering with GECOM, they have now pulled out any authority from GECOM to pronounce on these elections unless GECOM is going to pronounce them the winner. So now Madam Claudette Singh has to sit and realize where the delays that she has allowed for the past 141 days have placed her, because now her hands are tied, her feet are tied, her mouth is going to be muzzled unless she's willing to dance, type, or speak what APNO AFC wants to hear. What has to happen, Leonard, is this country has to realize that the good life that APNO AFC promised, this is what it meant by the good life. Their way or the highway. They must stay in power or no country. This is what they have promised, and they have delivered. Let me repeat, ladies and gentlemen, APNO AFC this morning basically announced that unless GECOM announces that they win, that is APNO AFC, they're not willing to accept any results. And they're holding this nation at ransom, telling you you can do nothing about it. They're open for negotiations. It's like a bunch of terrorists holding people at ransom and say, I have guns at your head, I have everything here, and you now need to come and talk to me because I am big and I am bad. What they have done is to remove every veil that they purported to have in front of them, cast away any independence of GECOM. They have said to the GECOM chairman there, unless you announce that if APNO AFC has won, you must shut up because we are not going to respect it. Now, what was the next step? I must tell you, there is a next step. There is a next step. The chairman of GECOM needs to realize what is happening here and needs to now declare these elections. She needs to declare these elections and move on and put this outside of her court. So that has to be the next move for the chairman of GECOM. She cannot hide, or she cannot wait, or she cannot go upon the pleasures of her own ability to say, well, as long as somebody threatens us with a courting, we will wait. If Lowenfield does not want to present her with a report, replace Lowenfield, get your report, and move on. That has to be the next step now, Leonard.
Yes, absolutely, Yog, and a couple of persons, our dedicated, our loyal people who've been with us from day one, foot to foot, like you and me, Yog. They've been asking about our YouTube. Unfortunately, we've been blocked. We're working to have an alternative there. As you know, from day one, we have been been hitting a lot of hurdles, and we have been fighting to overcome them. It's been a struggle every single day, from bad internet to blocked facilities, but we will continue. So we apologize for that. We're working to have an alternative. Facebook is where it's at the moment, or Kaieteur News Online. Kaieteur News Online, you could be able to get us there, or on Facebook, Kaieteur Radio there. But yes, Yoga, to come back to this very, very big statement that is made there, it is either you declare us winner, or we're not going to accept anything else. So what in essence this is also saying is that regardless how this court rules, how the matter, if it goes before the CCJ, how that will come out, they are not going to take it. Even if the court instructs that the recount process, the recount figures come out, that is not going to be recognized. That is what the statement is saying. And in case that you've missed it, let me just repeat what this statement issued by the coalition, and this is a coalition of the APNU and of the AFC led by Comrade Ramsden, Raphael Trotman, Cathy Hughes, and a couple of others. So Moses Nagamutu too, can't forget him. And it was read this morning by Mr. Joseph Harmon of the APNU side. And he's a spokesperson for them, and he says that the APNU FC coalition resolved to ensure that fraudulent votes cannot be factored in to represent the will of the people, of the electorate. Any attempt to include the fraudulent votes in a declaration, and that is put in single uplifted quotes, will constitute a violation of the Constitution and the fundamental principles of democracy. We maintain that the Elections Commission can only, and I repeat that, we maintain that the Elections Commission can only make a declaration, inverted commas again, single uplifted in inverted commas, based on valid votes. So there you have it, Yog. They are also saying the recount process, which was conducted painstakingly for 33 days, revealed massive irregularities and extensive fraud, which cannot be foisted on the Guyanese people to contrive an outcome that betrays the will of the electorate.
That's right.
I don't know what to say. I'm flabbergasted here.
The will of their electorate is all that matters. Look, what APNO AFC has told this nation is that it's only Congress place that must decide what votes are valid. Nobody else. No court, no authority, nobody other than Congress place must decide what votes are valid. Leonard, this is right back into the 1970s when Burnham and Green and Nascimento and all of them in that 1970s stage of rigging the Guyanese elections would have decided everything was done from Congress Place. Ballot boxes used to be transported to their head offices. So things like that has happened here. And basically, let me repeat that. APNO AFC has said the only people who can determine what votes are valid is the Congress Place, is the people at Congress Place. No observer, no court even. They don't even want the court to determine what is valid or what is not valid by going to an elections petition because they know it's like, Leonard, look, these people are so shameless. They went to the OAS yesterday. Basil Williams lied to the entire world about the CCJ's ruling. Blatant, plain lie. That's one. Two, Cummings lied And Cummings talk about the 18% of the CARICOM check. How can you, what is 45 certificates that you manufactured? What is 45? What is the percentage of 45 over 450,000? If you want to talk percentages, let's talk percentages. But they have gone there and embarrassed this country more by the lies they spewed at an international forum, Leonard. And I was shocked that they had the barefacedness, as we say in Guyana, to do this. At the same time, Leonard, with all that they said, not one country, not a single country in this entire world, not their beloved China, not Russia, not Venezuela or Cuba, none, not one country has spoken up for the past 141 days on behalf of APNO-AFC. In addition, not one current or former head of state of any country in the entire world has spoken up on behalf of Granger and his cabal. Not one, Leonard. Not even a messenger boy in any jurisdiction around the world has spoken up for them. Look, what is happening here, we cannot disguise it. It has to be said as plainly as possible. A group of terrorists have laid siege to Guyana, and now they want us to negotiate. Now, who is going to negotiate with terrorists? And negotiate for what? For you to plunder this country further? So, Leonard, the fact that they could have the fact is that they could have gone to the OAS and lied in the way they lied speaks to the, and then, let me share this with you, Leonard. Yesterday afternoon, Karen Cummings and Basil Williams went to the OAS. Remember, Basil Williams was not on the agenda. They had to ask for him to be allowed to speak. He was not on the agenda. So Karen Cummings, unfortunately for that good lady, her political master had to accompany her to make sure she says the right thing. I was really sorry and embarrassed to see that. She is a professional, yet she has allowed herself to be outmaneuvered at the GECOM building and yesterday. She had to get a political puppet player, puppet master next to her to ensure she said what they wanted her to say. Leonard, what did she say yesterday? She called on the world, wait a little bit, GECOM is going to declare. But what they did to her today? What did the APNO-AFC do to Karen Cummings today? It said, to heck with what you said yesterday. Today we are telling the world that unless GECOM declares APNO-AFC win, we are not accepting this declaration. So that, Leonard, and again I want to repeat, Madam Justice Claudette Singh has to now realize that she needs to put this outside of her court, declare these elections, and let us move on. As long as she does not declare these elections, we are going to have a terrorist state. We're going to have a set of people who are holding this country at ransom. It seems like bin Laden was dead and gone, but long live bin Laden here now in Guyana.
Yo, thank you very much for that. There is a statement coming out here from the European Union now, and this is a statement by the spokesperson on the situation after the elections, and it's issued today. The 22nd is coming out of Brussels, which is headquarters, I think, of the European Union. Following the elections in Guyana on the 2nd of March 2020, the clear ruling of the Caribbean Court of Justice now provides a solid foundation for a peaceful and democratic solution to Guyana's post-electoral crisis. It's now up to the Guyana Elections Commission to rapidly issue a declaration based on the credible results of the recount certified by the Caribbean community, ensuring respect for the will of the Guyanese people in line with the ruling of the Caribbean Court of Justice. We expect all Guyanese leaders and stakeholders to support such a declaration to conclude this long overdue democratic process. Only then can a legitimate government be sworn in, which is urgent and essential for the country. Yog, I want to stop there. I'm going to send you a copy of that. But I want to ask you if it is that we are in full dictator mode at the moment.
We are. As of that statement today, we have entered into a dictatorship. We have entered into a scenario where Granger has said, unless you declare APNO AFC win, we were not removing from the government, and you can negotiate with us now. So it is today is the 22nd of July, 2020, a dictatorship has been established in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Leonard.
I do thank you for that, Yog. And so here you have it, the European Union, which is a big union of countries that include Portugal, Spain, Germany, Britain, and you could go on and on. Poland and all of them are part of that. Greece. And so when you know that we sell our lumber there, our sugar goes there, and so many other things that we do here. We have a lot of money coming there in terms of assistance, donor relationship that we would have with Europe. And of course, they're a major partner to us, like CARICOM and the Commonwealth and so on. So if you're now joining us here on elections and COVID-19 watch, this is what you need to know. This morning, hours after a key meeting of the Permanent Council of the Organization of American States, there's an OAS, which is a body that again is part of a key body of countries that also include Brazil, Venezuela, Canada, and the US, and several countries right within the Caribbean here, and which 21 countries would have come out, including the US and Canada, calling for the declaration using the recount results. The coalition, which has lost the elections according to the recount, that was done. So there was a count, and then there was a recount, and the recount has basically substantiated the count figures. The coalition would have come out this morning in a very strong statement, making it very clear that it does not matter what the recount says, they're not going to accept it. They, on one hand, they're waiting to see what the court says. On the other hand, regardless, even if the court ratifies early decision by the Caribbean Court of Justice, which is the recount figure stands, which is what everybody is saying, they're not going to recognize that. So this is a very dark place today, which we've entered into no man's land, which is, regardless what you say, we are going to remain in government. We are not going to give up power. And so all we are willing to do at the moment is have talks to see whether we could have shared governance in some kind of way, because that's what they're saying. The APNO FC coalition in the national interest and with a view of maintaining stability and peace remains open to dialogue with other political parties and stakeholders on the way forward for our country. The APNO FC coalition is prepared to act responsibly to bring a resolution to the ongoing political situation. So a lot of contradictions even within the statement. One thing saying we are going to respect the court matter, but if the court matter says that we've lost, we're not going to respect it. So many things there, a lot of contradiction, yoga, which I'm not. I think one thing that the statement has established very, very clearly, which is we want to send a message to all persons that's out there. We are not going to come out of government, and so I'm not sure what was the purpose of the statement other than telling the Guyanese people, come hell or high water, whatever happens, we ain't coming out.
Yes, and Leonard, let me share this with the viewers and listeners out there as well. Look, they have said they are willing to act responsibly for the negotiations, right? They are willing to act responsibly. That's their words. Their words. We are willing to act responsibly for these negotiations, but they are not willing to act responsibly for a declaration. Leonard, it is no more than terrorism. It's no less than terrorism, sorry. It is no different from a set of people holding this country at ransom now and say, unless you give us what we want, We are not going to budge. Guyanese brothers and sisters, July 22nd, 2020, welcome to the dictatorship of David Granger.
All right, I think I'd have to agree with you there. This is a dictatorship. Happy belated birthday, Mr. Granger. I was looking, there's a list here. The ABC and EU countries, they've come out with statements, several statements. In fact, the US has come out with sanctions, travel restrictions on several officials, including reportedly the President, David Granger, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, and several others. Although they have not named names, sources are saying that those are the names. The OAS would have come out with a statement, or several statements, CARICOM several statements, Commonwealth, all political parties in Guyana except the coalition, they have come out with statements calling for the recount figures. All political parties, all the new ones and everybody, all media except the Guyana Chronicle, and the state media have come out against this government, against the coalition. The private sector has come out against them. Is there anybody that I've missed, Yog?
No, every responsible human and humane set of persons in this country would have spoken out against them. The only people that have not spoken out against them are their persons who are paid $20,000 to $30,000 a month to spew the hate on social media. We have seen them. You know their names, ladies and gentlemen. They are in your face, calling for all kind of rallies and marches and being on different radio stations and calling for all kind of things. They're being paid $20,000 to $30,000 per month. And Leonard, again, the ladies and gentlemen who are part of the People's National Congress, if you are silent at the birth of this dictatorship, then you are part of it.
And I don't know what to say there, Yog, except that if you're now joining us here, I put up also in the comments link on Facebook there, where you could probably get us on YouTube, which we've been blocked. The hurdles, they've been throwing up hurdles this morning, Yog. The attacks have started on me personally. It has ramped up. They brought up back that thing with Anandal a couple of years back, and I smiled, because if you understand and you remain strong within your heart, like I am, I get up every morning when I jump in my car or whatever it is that I'm doing, I say, God, you take care. You brought me into this world. You know how I'm leaving. You're the one that's in charge. And if you understand that, you could throw up all the hurdles in the world. God will continue to bless Guyana. God is going to show us the way. So let it remain that way. Our people have remained blessed. And any wickedness, you could go to church, you could kneel down. Mr. President, if you're listening, it's a very, very clear message. You could go to church, you could kneel down, and you could pray how much you want for the cameras. When it comes to the people, then they will not be fooled. And I know the attacks will start. Bring it on. Let's see where the people go.
Indeed. And Leonard, let's come right back to the chairman of GECOM. What the chairman of GECOM has to do is to declare the elections. She has to go. She cannot now step aside or put aside the order of the CCJ. She cannot now ignore what the courts all around her would have declared. And Madam Claudette Singh needs to now make that declaration. By virtue of her declaration, Granger becomes illegal. Leonard, last week, Friday, when we had Mr. Freddie Kissoon, we discussed some of these things. I want to remind everybody. People didn't like when we were having such an open discussion. But ladies and gentlemen, here today, you are seeing why we decided to have that discussion, because there was this dictatorship would be launched. And guess what? Today, you are seeing it being launched. Leonard, what has to happen is the chairman needs to declare these elections. The moment she declares Irfan Ali as the president, Granger becomes illegal. the army, the police, etc., the moment Ali is sworn in, he is the head, the commander-in-chief. So what Claudette Singh has to now realize is that every passing day with a dictatorship is now on her, in her lap, Leonard.
I think, do you believe, Yog, that it is timely that there's a call on the GECOM chairman in light of the statement that would have come out, in light of what is made very clear now? It doesn't matter which court is gone to, if there's no declarations that is in favor of the coalition, then nothing it is. I think we're wasting time to have any streaming this afternoon. We're wasting time to even go to the courts, because the court, if we following what the Court of Appeal, and let us take the glove off here, whether we like it or not, the Court of Appeal has done the people of this service. It is very, very questionable. The CCJ is saying that. This is Gildarie saying, and not Yog Mahadeo. The CCJ has made it very clear that what the Court of Appeal has done by the very decision that is made and handed down, that is very highly questionable. Very highly questionable. So we're going back there, we're wasting time. It's buying some time to go back to the Caribbean Court of Justice. Yog, so I'm not sure why we dilly-dally talking about the Court of Appeal anymore.
Leonard, I'll tell you this. I spoke to a group of persons this morning, and I said to them the exact thing you were saying. Anil Nandlal and the PPP should not even bother to go to the Court of Appeal. It makes no sense, and not from the perspective you were saying. The Court of Appeal has a case in front of it, and the matters being presented to the Court of Appeal must be no different from what would have been presented to Madam Roxanne George. So if the Court of Appeal is to make a ruling, it will make a ruling with or without the PPP being present. A ruling either way, whether it overturns the lower court's decision or not. But obviously, Leonard, the chairman has to, she knows this. I mean, we can't tell her she has to realize she knows this. The court cannot declare these elections. The court cannot instruct her. She is above all of that. She has the laxity. She is guided by the Constitution. She knows exactly what she has to do, and she has to do it, because the Court of Appeal's decision today will only serve, well, it's going to have case management today. And, it's going to take another week for them to finish doing what they do. But the truth is, there is no stay from the court. And what would be advisable is that today, at the case management, it should be advisable on behalf of this country that the counsel that may appear on behalf of GECOM must not commit GECOM, that GECOM will not continue to do its work. Why should GECOM stop its work when there is a clear part in the Constitution as to how it ought to do its work? Why should GECOM be stopped from doing its work if the court doesn't stop them? So I want to beg the attorney for GECOM, do not go and commit GECOM again. If the court puts a stay, that's a different matter. But Leonard, we have to speak these things out openly. And Madam Chairman, you need to make a call on these elections, declare the president, and that will make Granger an illegal president. Madam, every passing day now, 22nd of July 2020, Granger has declared himself a dictator.
That's correct, and there's no other way of putting it. We've entered, you know why this is so dangerous, Yog? Tomorrow morning, or even today, because the gloves are off right now, you could walk in and you could close the Kaieteur News and use the army and the police to do it. The police commissioner vehicle turns up at a night place where there's women, and nobody has come out with a statement to refute those photographs that are surfacing. The ABC in the EU country would have met with the army chief saying one thing. Well, that remains to be seen. But what is made very, very clear today is that the coalition that is led by David Granger, that has Ramjatan and Moses Nagamutu, and Kaieteur and Raphael Trotman, who are all part and parcel of it. I'm sorry that we have to say it like this, but it is what it is. The people of Guyana must know, and I guess they could do whatever they want to do. They'd have to close all the newspapers in Guyana, all the media houses, all the radio stations that are fighting, that have been speaking out about it. They'd have to shut all Guyanese that have been fighting against something that is immoral, that is wicked, that is totally unacceptable, yo. Totally, totally unacceptable. What they're saying here is that we are going to rule whether you like it or not. That is what they're saying.
Leonard, I want to take a step back a little bit. You know, I've spoken to a number of persons in and out of this country. These are senior people, and I mean senior both in terms of their position, some of them, in terms of foreign diplomats, as well as some people who have retired, and so their age is of senior recognition. And, you know, I've spoken to a number of persons in the medical profession, and a lot of persons have spoken well of Dr. Karen Cummings. A lot of persons have spoken very, very well of Dr. Cummings, and this is in no way denigrating her. But, you know, if the persons, I mean, the Guyanese people are seeing two different persons then. They're seeing somebody who persons are speaking well of, yet she allows herself and the goodwill she has personally to be muzzled, to be veiled, to be threatened, to be cowed into a corner, so that yesterday, even Dr. Karen Cummings could not have been allowed to represent Guyana. She had to go with a political puppet master to ensure she says what is right and to ensure she says certain things. And that speaks to what is happening in this country. Now, you look at, and I say this, I know a lot of people wouldn't like this, but let me tell you something. You speak to some foreigners, Leonard. A lot of foreign people before these elections had a lot of good things to say about Miss Valda Lawrence. A lot of good things about her passion, about her zeal, about her having a degree of integrity. So all of these people have allowed the puppet masters to now muzzle them, tie them, and destroy their entire image that they built up around the world. And it's amazing to see that they continue to do so. Now, today I'm seeing that Mr. Dominic Gaskin has come under tremendous attack.
I was about to raise that. Go ahead, Yog.
Has come under tremendous attack. And guess what? The people who are attacking Dominic Gaskin, ladies and gentlemen, here is the hypocrisy of it all. The people who are attacking Dominic Gaskin are being paid by the people who Dominic Gaskin is attacking, family members even. So the illogic that is being presented is so bad that one has to be worried as to whether we are even speaking to a Karen Cummings and whether we are even speaking. Look, another name that I had appreciated and liked zeal and loved the way that politics was being done. I make no jokes about this. I look at Cathy Hughes, look at Annette Ferguson. These are people that built a name, built a reputation of positivity, of good zeal, not just in Guyana, overseas too. But these 141 days, by their silence, they have allowed a destruction of everything they stood for. And the AFC, I don't know what else we can describe them as. But I tell you what, the AFC next time probably not going to get more than 5 votes, the 5 votes being the 5 of them that are trying to hold on to a parliamentary position. Leonard, they have allowed themselves to become dictators and to foist a dictatorship upon this country. And tomorrow, I'm sure, or today later, you will hear Mr. Moses Nagamutu, who stood up and told his country, I'm fighting against the dictator Burnham. Today, he's part of a cabal that telling this country that unless you say I have won, I will not give up. So Leonard, here are personalities. There's an old saying that power is the true test of personality. And this set of charlatans have shown that they are charlatans. They have failed that litmus test, Leonard.
Somebody just commented that I look a little worried. If you're Guyanese and if you have a mind of your own, if you're able to analyze, it's very, very simple. I'm saying to you, and this is not me saying what is in my head, I'm saying to you that there's a statement that is issued here from the coalition that was read by Joseph Hyman today, and he's saying that whatever figures that the declaration brings, the recon figures which has been mediated, overseen by CARICOM, signed off, they're not going to accept it. The only thing that they're going to accept is if you say that we won. They want to, of course, at the same time, to have talks with the other stakeholders and political parties on the way forward. If you could make some conclusions there, it's very, very clear. We're not coming out and we're not going anywhere. Should I be worried? Leave that to your conclusion. Second thing is, Yog would have raised the issue there of Dominic Gaskin. Dominic Gaskin was a former business minister. He was a cabinet member. He is the son-in-law of the president. He is still the son-in-law of the president. And when he would have come out and said that was his own independent speaking there, that is his own right to do so. He is a traitor at the moment for daring to open his mouth. When you have a government that does not want to take into account, or a coalition that is in transition, that does not want to take into account the people's votes, and that's you and me. The votes belong to you and me. When you would have gone after months of preparation and $8+ billion and cast those votes and it doesn't count anymore, you should not be upset. Let us all sit here, twiddle our thumbs, and go on our many merry ways. In the meantime, you're going to have people like what is happening now calling you every day for help because nobody's talking about COVID-19. Nobody's interested in COVID-19. They're living in the beautiful fancy houses. They have security. They have drivers. They have a salary coming in. What about you? Should I be worried? Are you worried, Yo?
Leonard, this is, it's sickening to see the depravity of people who are in power. And I want to tell you something else. The more I look at their statement, remember, Leonard, these are people who purport to be lawyers, legal minds, that are saying or have put out this statement. So you cannot take their words lightly. This is not just a political statement. It's a statement couched with such words that you would need to pay heed to every phrase contained therein. And Leonard, these people are saying that in the national interest, that doesn't mean representing the nation, with a view of maintaining stability and peace. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the Granger Cabal has said today, that the APNO AFC, with a view in maintaining stability and peace, remains open to dialogue. What are they saying? If there is no dialogue, what will happen, Leonard? Remember, this is not a statement that is just written by a group of persons just wanting to grab onto power. These are people who are in power, who command all the lawyers from where the lawyers are from for the court today, Trinidad and elsewhere in the world, who commands and can pay Bart Fisher $40,000 US a month. Right? Bart Fisher, JJ, and the BLLC, top US firm. This is the statement that they have said, that unless you come and talk with us, this thing about stability and peace then remains a question mark. Leonard, this is a threat to this nation. It's a threat directly to the people of this country. I don't know how else we can take it. This is beyond worrying. This is beyond any realm of decency. Again, I repeat two things. One, ladies and gentlemen, 22nd of July 2020, the dictatorship has been launched. Hail to dictator David Granger. And two, Madam Chairman of GECOM, you need to declare these elections without further delay. All the cosmetic delays that have been allowed to protract and prolong these elections must now be put to rest, and let us move on and let us get this cabal declared illegal. Let us have a new commander-in-chief, and let us then see where we go from here.
Thank you very much for that, Yog. And I want to ask you this question right here and now. I think maybe it's a question on the people's mind. Has this statement and has the stance of the coalition at this point in time told the whole world to hell with you? Because this would have come hours after 21 countries yesterday called for the declaration using the recount results. Have we officially, as the coalition, told the rest of the world to hell with you, you could do whatever you want to do, come sanctions or whatever, we are going to stay in power?
Well, Leonard, that is exactly what they said. I mean, at the end of the day, after the day after the U.S. Announced personal sanctions, they basically said, look, to heck with your personal sanctions, we are going to court. Remember, it was the next day they said basically we're gonna go to court. Notwithstanding further statements from the UK and Canada, day before yesterday they said we're gonna go to the Court of Appeal. Then knowing that today the Court of Appeal matter starts, they issue that statement today. So they're saying a couple of messages. One, to the rest of the world, we don't care. You do what you want. This is Guyana. We'll lock everybody down, and mind you, with a view to maintaining stability and peace. Don't forget, these phrases are in there for a purpose. Two, they're saying so to the courts. The Court of Appeal starts at 3 o'clock. They issued that this morning to tell the court that it doesn't matter what you say, you better say what we want you to say. And they have basically said to GECOM that if you're unwilling to declare APNO DFC the winner, then we're not going to accept your declaration. So those are a couple of messages contained therein, and I'm sure that when you read the statement, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to see even more brazenness, even more threats, even more things contained therein. And in addition to that, Leonard, they also said that only APNO AFC, only Congress place can determine which votes are valid or which votes are invalid. Nobody else.
And you bear that in mind. July the 22nd, 2020, one of the darkest days in this country, and somebody has sent us here an adaptation of Martin Kaieteur's This is Dark Time, My Love. And I want to read it to you so you can understand a little as to what the feelings are. This is dark time, my love. All around the land, green beetles crawl about. The shining sun is hidden in the sky. Red flowers bend their head in awful sorrow. This is dark time, my love. It's a season of oppression, dark metal and tears. It's a festival of dictators, a carnival of misery. Everywhere the faces of men are strained and anxious. Who comes walking in the dark night time? Whose boots of steel tramps down the sandy grass? It's a thief of democracy, my love, the strange invader, watching you sleep and aiming at your dreams. Martin Kaieteur, our very own. And so it is July the 20th, 22nd, and there's a statement here from the coalition. It will not recognize any recount figures. It says those recount figures does not declare them victory, and therefore they want to go ahead and have talks. While on one hand they say they're waiting the court issues, they're making it very clear that any other thing that orders the use of the recount figures is not something they will recognize. It's the strongest statement yet, And the conclusions is this would come hours after 21 countries yesterday in the Organization of American States, that special meeting of its Permanent Council, who would have called for a declaration using the recount figures, the recount results, that was done in the presence of CARICOM representatives. The coalition would have made it very clear, do not, under any circumstances, declare those figures because we will not recognize it. We are staying where we are. The only thing we want to do at this moment is have talks with the stakeholders, including political parties, on the way forward. So that's where we are at. It will put into the background, the back burner, any court cases, because this is making it very clear that they will not recognize any court cases. This is what we understand of what the statement is saying, what we understand of how countries work and how democracy work, in full dictatorship mode at the moment, full dictatorship mode.
Indeed, Leonard. And let me just say this, I see my friend, my good friend, Leon. Leon would have made certain statements. Leon, you better check the definition of the terms we use here. And maybe, Leon, you yourself could go back to the video with CN Sharma that you made, which would have been 6 years ago, when you spoke ill of the APNO AFC. And that would do you well, Leon, to have a little bit of soul search, because anything intended to intimidate or coerce a civilian population or influence the policy by intimidation is deemed to be terrorism, sir. So take it how you want. That's the phrase we use, and it would do you well to probably read up about it a little. But you know what? We can agree, we can disagree, and we can agree to disagree. You continue to back what we are seeing as dictatorship, and I will continue to speak out against it, my brother.
Thank you, dear Yoga. So if you're not joining us, this is elections and COVID-19 watch. Unfortunately, our attention have been taken away from the good people of this nation and the suffering, Yoga. We have this morning, one family came. The gentleman, I did talk about it before, the gentleman is visually impaired, has applied to the Ministry of Social Protection for help. And well, I won't say that they refuse him, they have not responded to him. That might be tantamount to a refusal. And these are the many cries, these are the many people who are there, left out in the open, in the field, in the middle of the storm that we are experiencing at the moment, without anyone to turn to, without any help coming from anywhere, without any jobs. If you hear the number of jobs, people carpenter, others and others who are not getting anything, have nowhere to think, they don't have savings. The 3 months that were granted by the banks, by NBS and others for giving you a respite, that has gone, that has elapsed. As we speak here today, there is a statement that came out from GPL, which seems to have been relegated to the back burners, and this would have come 4 months after we would have closed the country. GPL is now stating that if you can't pay your bill, come in, and we're going to try to do a payment for your payment plan. Shame on you 4 months after. If you're listening, whoever's the chairman of GPL and the directors happen to be some of my friends, well, no longer my friends. You guys have been doing the people a disservice in Guyana. A state-owned company is coming out 4 months after to say, if you can't pay your bill, we're going to do some kind of payment plan to you. So that is the case. You people need to get on to GPL. They're saying that you need to email them. I'm not sure how people are going to email them if you don't have internet, because you're finding the money, little money that you have to buy food. So you don't have internet. And so if you want a payment plan, if you can't email them, what do you do? So GPL, you need to think a little better than that. This is absolute nonsense. You need to come out with something else where the people could contact you so you could be able to put those payment plans in, because you're more interested in finance, your money, your revenues, your profits, a state-owned company and profits at this time, instead of treating the people with some dignity and respect. Today is a very dark day. I'm not in the mood to play around, to have anybody talking politics, except that we're not in a very, very good place at the moment.
Yes, Leonard, we are not. And so I would like to reiterate, ladies and gentlemen, the call has to be on the chairman of GECOM to now proceed, to make a declaration. If your CEO refuses to give you the report, then the CEO should be replaced. Leonard, the other thing that we need to remember is that David Granger sits there in the seat of the president of Guyana, constitutionally allowed, the de facto president that is there. The president-elect is outside awaiting, but obviously APNO AFC maybe has held both the president-elect and the de facto president here and muzzle them down, because one cannot act having not been declared, and one cannot speak because his spokesperson are speaking for him. I find it strange, and I wish to repeat, that even Karen Cummings had to appear at the OAS yesterday with Basil Williams, who was there to ensure that she did not stray from script. Now, yesterday also, I think when Basil Williams made his last-ditch efforts to lie to the OAS. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a man who said he's the upholder of the Constitution of Guyana. He went there and he lied in front of all 21 countries of the world sat together, lied to them, looking at their faces and lying to them that the CCJ nullified, we said the CCJ vitiated the recount. Lied to them.
But that was not the only thing that he said, Yog. He says the people are showing a lot of restraint. The people of Guyana is showing a lot of restraint, and he admired them for that.
Exactly. And the other thing too, Leonard, he also said that, you guys got to take it. Y'all got to accept what it is. It is what it is, and you have to accept. What is this, all this talk about not wanting to accept what we're doing? We're the best thing since sliced bread. We're the best thing ever. And he's saying all of that, notwithstanding that moments before that, the U.S. ambassador said that we are becoming a pariah state of which Williams is a part. Look, the ambassadors, I think somehow or the other they are missing some of the points. The ambassadors, Leonard, in speaking, you know what they did, ladies and gentlemen? They did not ignore that Karen Cummings and Williams were there. In fact, in speaking, all of the ambassadors addressed Karen Cummings and Basil Williams, and then proceeded to say, let the will of the electorate be respected. Let the results of these elections be declared. Stop using the courts to delay these elections. Stop abusing the judicial process. So, Leonard, by calling their name for somehow or the other, Williams et al. Felt it was a matter of respect, but it was, hey, I'm talking to you. And yet at the end, he went and lied to them. Now, I think that credit needs to be given to Anil Nandla for correcting that and for putting on record that that is a gross misrepresentation of what the CCJ said. Leonard, here is a man who only the day before, the CCJ told him to his face that you can only read this paragraph by taking the paragraph before and the paragraph after in full consideration when looking at this paragraph. Yet he went there and he said those 21 countries and all the rest of the countries in the world don't see what's happening and did not see the hearing. The hearing was streamed live all over the world, Leonard. These people he went and spoke to, they were looking at it too.
Yog, so this is the entire Caribbean. This is the entire Caribbean, Yog. This is Bruce Golden. Do you believe that Mia Motley, who's the CARICOM chair, came on the questions, in fact, they started attacking her for her sexuality? The president, the prime minister of Trinidad came on the attack. Owen Arthur, who happens to be in the hospital, hope that you're getting better, sir. He has come on the attack. Our Sir James have come under attack, and we could go on and the U.S. ambassador, the UK High Commissioner. You look at today. Look at today. The U.S. representative to the OAS, Bradley Frieden. It's not too late for Guyana. We call upon the leaders to respect the results of the democratic election. If a stalemate continues, however, it will only be the Guyanese people that suffer. Let me say it very, very clearly. This is not a thing about Indians and blacks anymore. All Guyanese. The man says all Guyanese people would suffer. Because imagine half of the people, more than half of the people who would have voted. And this is not we saying that. This is the recount. It came out of the boxes, out of the ballot boxes that was put into a container, several containers that was held under lock and key. It could not have changed. These are the ballots that were cast by people. It came out back and show you the same thing, the figures that came out of March 2nd. It is the same thing. And so the man is saying it's the Guyanese people who suffer. APNO FC and its leaders face a strong choice. Does the party want Guyana to be a leader in the hemisphere and an example of democracy? Or does it want to be an international pariah state or pariah? He stopped it at that. So how much more clear do you want it? So Ron Sanders, who happened to be the son-in-law of Sir Sridat Ramphal, who happens to be a former attorney general in Guyana under the People's National Congress back in the Barnum days. He has come out very clearly yesterday and made it clear where Guyana stands. You want to read it? Come to Kaieteur News and read it. It is there what he would have said yesterday. 21 countries call for declaration using recount results. And here you have a handful of people who are saying, regardless what you say, however you say it, whatever the court says, we are not going to listen and we're not going to pay attention. What we pay attention to is if GECOM says that we win. So where's GECOM going to find these figures from, Yog? You want to tell me that?
Exactly. That is such an important question. They want GECOM to manufacture votes, to use Mingo's declaration. The votes that Mingo has on that spreadsheet were not in the boxes on March 2nd, and obviously was not in the boxes, would not have been in the boxes for the recount. These shameless people are talking about valid votes only, yet they want to go use Mingo's things that has 20,000 votes that has no basis. Leonard, who was it that said the bloated list? And who was it that said more people voted than matter? Where are all these people now? Going back to Mingo, that is exactly what you're doing. Votes that never counted, votes that never occurred. That is what they're adopting and embracing now, Leonard. It's amazing to see how they're shifting their narrative. But you know, when a person tells a lie, and you tell another lie, and you tell another lie, you know, depending on what is your mood on that day, you're going to come up with a new lie because you keep forgetting the lies you have said.
Absolutely, and I think what is called for right now, Yog, and this is something that all right-thinking Guyanese people who believe in law and order, what they should be calling for now is Barjagdio, Irfan Ali, Mark Phillips, all the small parties to hold a joint press conference to talk to the people of Guyana right now. If they're not doing that, you're waiting too late. You should have already been doing that, sir. The GECOM chair should be making a statement right now because her authority, her credibility is being called to question because the people are saying, regardless what you do as a GECOM chair, as the elections chief, because ultimately the box stops at Claudette Singh. If she does not come out and say something now that is going to allay the fears of the people, that is going to put the situation right, to correct what it is, because her authority is being called under question.
That's right. That's right, Leonard. And the chairman has to realize, if she never realized before, she has to realize that APNO AFC's statement as of today is giving a very, very different message all along. Well, not all along, up to probably about 3 weeks ago. APNO Granger was saying, oh, we're going to accept whatever declarations GECOM makes. And probably that had Madam Claudette Singh going in a particular direction or in a particular pace. But when Granger changed that, and today, with Granger and his team saying that you must, the only declaration we will accept is that AFC and APNU has won. Well, Madam Chairman, we need you to now play your cards. Let us see what will be your declaration. Because, Leonard, I am getting extremely concerned now.
And we should all be, Yog, if you know and if you've been paying very close attention to the developments, if you've been paying very close attention to statements, the tone of statement, the change of words, we have to, because this is our business, we pay attention to words. And when you would have seen the change in stance, the change in words, the change in tone, and when you see things like this today, it will send up your antennas. And like I said before, if Mahadeo and their finale and the rest of the leaders within the opposition are not paying attention, and if this is not a call for them to take actions right now, when I say actions, there need to be a press conference, there need to be a joint statement, they need to call on the international communities. The chairman, on the other hand, need to take stock, because her authority, what this statement is actually saying, Yog, is that GECOM is just a standby as person that stand, or an entity that is standing by, that has no authority thereabouts, and she is a constitutional office holder that is in charge at a very critical time, at a very dark time, that need to show some leadership, and her credibility too is at stake here.
Correct. And Leonard, I have written a letter to the Bar Association of Guyana to ask them a couple of things. And you know, I'm hoping that we will get a response from them. But I've written to the Bar Association of Guyana to ask what are their thoughts with regards to Mr. Basil Williams' statement. Look, Williams went and misrepresented the CCJ's decision, a legal paradigm, a legal decision of an apex or superior court was misrepresented. So I've written to the Bar Association to ask their opinion on what Mr. Basil Williams would have said, because the man is still a practicing attorney. In addition, Basil Williams went to the court and said, I am the upholder of the Constitution, and yet he took one side. He took a political side. So all of this we need to get down to. And Leonard, ladies and gentlemen across this country, this will be a long, the way they are wording based on this statement today, this will be a long, hard time ahead of us if APNU AFC continues in this vein. But the Guyanese people have been through this before, 28 years under Burnham, and we did not bend. And whatever they want to bring on, we will not bend. I'm seeing tons and tons of attacks on social media, Leonard. Things you never knew about, you're being accused of. Things you never know even existed, you're being accused of. Bring it on, as your own parliamentary leader said. Bring it on. We will not bend. Non-cooperation with evil is a sacred duty.
And you're so right, Yog, and let us repeat, the European Union, a little while ago, we would have read your statement. Let me remind you, the European Union is a very powerful group, and they'd be joining the US and the other countries like Canada and so on. And while these individual countries would have been making statements yesterday at the OS forum, which they're also part of with Guyana, statements are coming, so the pressure's piling up. And let me read this European Union statement very quickly back to you again, because it is showing you that the entire world, as well as the local organization, is against what is happening here. Very dark time in our history. Government's legitimacy requires declaration of recount results, and this is the European Union. The 27-nation European Union has issued a strong statement warning that the legitimate government, that a legitimate government can only be sworn in on the basis of the declaration of the credible results of the recount supported by all Guyanese leaders and electoral stakeholders. The EU has fielded the electoral observer mission to Guyana's elections for the March 2nd. The statement comes from the European External Action Service, which is the diplomatic service and combined foreign and defense ministry of the European Union. Following the elections in Guyana on March 2nd, the clear ruling of the Caribbean Court of Justice now provides a solid foundation for a peaceful and democratic solution to Guyana's post-electoral crisis, it said. The CCJ has invalidated a report of the Chief Elections Officer, Kaieteur, who's attempted to stray from the results of the recount. The EU said it's now up to the Guyana Elections Commission to rapidly issue a declaration based on the credible results of the recount certified by the Caribbean community in line with the CCJ's ruling. Such a declaration, the Union said, is urgent and essential for this country. That is it. There's no words that you could put it or you could twist it or anything. Do it now. And so it is a very clear message there also to the GECOM chair. If you're listening, ma'am, this is a call for action if there's nothing else, because for too long you've been accommodating, you've been bending over backwards, but they're making it very clear to you, the statement by the coalition this morning, that regardless what happens, if this case that is now in a few moments we're going to break to go to the Court of Appeal, I'm not sure for what reason, because it's very clear this is a lesson in futility, this is an exercise in futility, and it's going to go to the Caribbean Court of Justice. In the meantime, while the people wait and when those decisions come, GECOM would have to call a meeting or meetings, and the people will wait expectantly for something to be done. Nothing is going to happen because commissioners are going to be absent, and all kinds of gamesmanship is going to be afoot. So it is time. We've lost patience. It is very clear that what is coming out here is total disrespect for the people of Guyana, and it is time for us to stop playing marbles and little dolly house right now. It is time for us to call it as it is and take actions. And the actions are, there'd have to be statements from the opposition. There'd have to be statements from maybe the the countries that we have partnership with. Marbles and little dolly house right now. And so, Yog, over to you as we wrap up, as we prepare within a few moments to head to the Court of Appeal, where Kaieteur News, Kaieteur Radio will bring you live coverage from there.
Thank you, Leonard. And I understand that Madam Justice Dawn Gregory will be one of the lawyers. Another one will be the same gentleman.
Judge. You mean a judge?
Judge. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Madam Dawn will be one of the judges. Mr. Rishi Prasad will be another judge, and I understand Priya Bihari will be the third one. So it will be interesting times in the court this afternoon, Leonard.
That would be interesting. So we go back. Let's go back. That Priya Bihari, Dawn Gregory, and who's the other one?
And Rishi. The same. Dawn Gregory and Rishi Prasad would have been the two judges in the last case. Yeah.
That would be interesting because here you have Bassington Reynolds is not going to be there. Widely expected.
Well, remember one of the things, if you look at the previous case of the High Court, what they're doing is bringing in some of the judges from the other courts to take up this slot, because I think one of the things that we need to recognize is that the Chancellor does not sit on these matters of the elections and the Constitution, because remember, at the end of the day, she would be the person that has to swear in the new president. And so I think it's a good decision, if that is the reason behind her not sitting. It's a good decision because it forms a good basis of impartiality on her behalf, and much respect to her for that. Brassington was not on the 33-34 case, was he? It was another gentleman, wasn't it?
Let me see. It was Dawn Gregory, Bassington Reynolds. No, not Bassington Reynolds. Rishi was there. I can't remember the other person. I can't remember. There was two ladies. Yes, I think it was the Chief Justice, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or the Chancellor. I can't remember.
The Chancellor was part of it because it was a three-way and she broke the tie basically.
That's right.
Yes. So that is so. So one of the things we also need to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, is what Mr. Chris Ram said yesterday, is that the seniority of Claudette Singh, the seniority of Roxanne George as a Chief Justice acting, making her decision yesterday, and at the Court of Appeal, when they bring in one of the lower courts judge to make up the three-person thing there, the one person might, by virtue of seniority, be junior to the CJ. But that being said, we'll leave it as it is.
Well, let me tell you this: a couple of visas. I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but let me tell you this: we are in a very critical time. I'm sure that the embassies and everybody and the countries like the Britain, Canada, the U.S. they're paying very, very close attention to that, and I think they would be extremely alarmed, like the rest of Guyana, over the tone and the wording of that statement this morning. It's very, very, very clear. So this evening, room 592, what is happening very quickly there before we part?
Tonight in room 592, we have Mr. Mark Phillips, the Prime Minister.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can say Prime Minister-elect, who would have been the Prime Minister candidate of the PPPC. So Mark Phillips will join us in room 592 tonight. And certainly today's matters, what's happening here, will be engaging our discussion tonight. And tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen, not Friday night, tomorrow night, we're going to have Mr. Freddie Kissoon in room 592. So 2 packed days ahead.
Yes, and I would like to know if Moses Nagamutu and Camarade Ramzan et al. Were part of the drafting of this statement this morning, because people need to know the history when the history books are written, that these were all part of the group that would have placed Guyana in a very dark place. And right. I'm trying to find the right words for it, Yog.
If I may, I would urge that the press, I would urge that Kaieteur News should call those 2 gentlemen and ask them if they stand fully behind the words of the statement.
Absolutely, dear. So if you now joined us, it's Elections COVID-19 Watch here on Kaieteur Radio. We have put up the link where you could probably get us on YouTube until we get it fixed. But of course, you could find us back on Facebook here, Kaieteur Radio on Facebook, Kaieteur News online as well. My very loyal co-host, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, myself, Leonard Gildarie, has been with you over the 1.5 hours. We have to break now because the Court of Appeal is going to be, we're going to be joining the live streaming from there to bring you that appeal to the Chief Justice's decision a few days back. And this evening when we come back, we are going to tell you a little about with Mark Phillips, who is the Prime Ministerial elect of the People's Progressive Party, his take, because he was part of this OS meeting yesterday, the Permanent Council meeting, which he made a presentation. So in the meantime, just to wrap up, 21 countries called for declaration using recount results. The EU would have come on not too long ago in a very strong statement, echoing the same thing. But in the meantime, today, big development. The coalition says it's not going anywhere. It refused to take any other figures other than the one that declared themselves winner. They're also willing to have talks. So in essence, it's a full-out dictatorship at the moment. That is made very, very clear. So we are going to be back with you at 7:30 p.m. sharp, room 592. Dr. Yog Mahadeo is going to be leading the way from there. And we are going to take a break now as we await the link to the live streaming from the Court of Appeal in Kingston there. So do have a pleasant rest of the afternoon. Thank you, Yog, and thank you, folks, for joining us here on Kaieteur Radio.
Welcome.
COVID-19 tips sponsored by Soap. 1. Practice social distancing. 2. Wear your mask when leaving the house. 3. Wash your hands regularly for 20 seconds using our Soap. 4. Cover your nose and mouth with a disposable tissue or flex elbow when you cough or sneeze. Choose Soap for that extra cleanliness. Soap is affordable and available nationwide.
disinfect and clean my home with DisiClean. When using DisiClean, my house gets super clean. Whether it's bedroom, kitchen, or bathroom, my home smells fresh and feels clean. DisiClean does not only remove dirt and cut grease, but also kills 99% of the germs, while leaving a pleasant, long-lasting fragrance. A healthy home starts with DisiClean.
You know you're on the road, one step closer you go. You know that you're a champion, let them watch you as you glow. No one can stop your vibes, all your powers are ignite. Let all the voices fade, now nothing will come in your way. 'Cause you are a ray of sunshine, everybody wants your sunlight. And you are a magic light bulb, everybody wants your brightness. Dark days will come and go, but you're still burning in the cold. You are your force to reckon with. When you eat, you feed your soul. No one can stop your shine. One more breath towards your goal. Breathe, free, breathe, you're a champion. Let them see what's in your blood. 'Cause you are a ray of sunshine. Everybody wants your sunlight. And you are a magic light bulb. Everybody wants your brightness. You are the strong, courageous one. You are the light within your soul. You are the greatest strength I know. Oh, you are the reason for your smiles. You are the sweetest thing I love. And I'm so happy now you know. Now you know, you know. 'Cause you are a ray of sunshine. Everybody wants your sunlight. And you are a magic light bulb. Everybody wants your brightness. 'Cause you are a ray of sunshine. Everybody wants your sunlight. And you are a magic light bulb. Everybody wants your brightness. 'Cause you are a ray of sunshine. Everybody wants your sunlight. And you are a magic light bulb. Everybody wants your brightness. Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. I don't know what you come for. Loosen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. Guyana, oh, that's my beautiful country. One people, one nation, one destiny. Don't stop for a minute. Come, let me take a walk with Bruce. take it, you'll see our landmarks and our monuments, they're so unique. The hybrid structure, lighthouse, the tallest wooden structure, cathedral, 176th Street, monuments, and a beautiful city hall. You know with the wind in your hair, you're in the right place. Guyana, oh, that's my beautiful country. Guyana, one people, one nation, one destiny. Look down from your window, no big city lights, just greenery. You don't know what you come for. Listen up, my dear, we're such a man free. Welcome to the land of many faces, not one, not two, but 6 different races. You know when the sun kisses your skin, you're in the right place. Guyana, oh, that's my beautiful country. Guyana, one people, one nation, one destiny.
If I think about the ways you make me smile, I'd be sitting here and smiling for a while. Although I know I make you cry sometimes, your happiness is ever on my mind. I cannot repay for everything you've done, but my love for you burns brighter than the sun. No matter where my feet and mind may go, my heart will lead to you and you alone. Guyana, I'll be holding on to you forevermore. Guyana, Guyana, may the blessings of God never leave your shore. A paradise so wondrous to behold, a work of art, your heart is gleaming gold. They sail the waters, soar above the trees, to find the gem between the mountains and seas. Your children know we try though we may fall. We stand united now to heed your call. Our fathers fought the fights for liberty. Forever I'll defend Guyana free. Guyana, Guyana, I'll be holding on to you forevermore. Guyana, Guyana, may the blessings of God never leave your shore. Rise up for your land. Rise up, won't everybody stand? Rise up for your land. Rise up, won't everybody take a stand? Rise up for your land. Rise up, won't everybody stand? Rise up for your land. Oh, Guyana, Guyana, I'll be holding on to you forever. I'll be holding on.
Guys, Your Honors, the Justices of Appeal, and Additional Judge of the High Court. Masingo Jones versus the Guyana Elections Commission and others.
Good afternoon, everyone. Could we have the appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honors. Can you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Please go ahead, your appearances.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. I, Rondell Keller, am led by Mr. Royce Ford, Senior Counsel, and Mr. John Jeremy, Senior Counsel, and instructed by Mr. Meyer Robertson for the appellant, Mr. Masingo Jones.
Thank you. Yes, please go ahead.
You go to me next.
First
Please.
respondent. Who's for the first name respondent? There's no appearance for the Guyana Elections Commission. So we move on.
May it please Your Honors, I'm Kim Kaieteur Thomas, and I appear on behalf of the second named respondent, Chairman of the Guyana Elections Commission.
Yes.
If it pleases Your Honor, Neil Boston, and I appear on behalf of the third named respondent.
Your Honors, Maxwell E. Edwards, led by the Leonard Attorney General Basil Williams, Senior Counsel, he appears in person. Fourth respondent.
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. May it please the court. I am Kaieteur Khan, and I appear along with Mr. Mohammed Khan and Mr. Kailesh Lokman for the fifth and sixth named respondents.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Khan. Could we move on, please?
May it please Your Honors, Devendra Kisoon, in association with Mohabir Anil Nandalal, Marcy Nadir Sharma, Clay Hackett, all led by Douglas Mendez, Senior Counsel, for the seventh and eighth respondents, Dr. Bharat Jagdeo and Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali.
May it please Your Honors, Kamal Ramkaran for the ninth respondent, Mark France, representing New and United Guyana.
thank you. And who's for the 10th name?
May it please your honors, I'm Hari Ramkaran. I appear for the 10th named respondent, Lennox Schumann of the Liberty and Justice Party.
Okay, thank you. The court can confirm that it has received a notice on behalf of the 7th and 8th respondents to contend for a variation of the High Court's order. That notice was received today. In effect, a cross appeal. Is that it? On behalf of the 7th and 8th, Mr. Mendez or Mr. Nandlal?
Yes, Your Honor, that is in fact so.
Yes.
We say that there are other grounds upon which the decision may be supported.
Yes, but we have before us the grounds as well. Is there any other application before we move on?
If it please, Your Honor, Timothy Jonas appears for Daniel Josh Kanai, representing the New Movement, the 11th named respondent.
You're for whom, Mr. Jonas? Mr. Jonas,
The
you're
11th
for
named,
which?
please, Your Honor.
Which respondent are you for?
The 11th named respondent, please, Your Honor, Daniel Josh Kanai, representing the New Movement.
Yes, I'm sorry that we moved on without hearing from you. So yes, we've made a note of that, Mr. Jonas.
Very good.
Anjeev Patadin, and I'm associated with Mr. Stephen Singh, Ms. Jamila Ali, and Mr. Donovan Rangaya for Mr. Vishnu Bandhu, represented the United Republican Party, the 12th respondent.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Datadin. Again, I apologize for not hearing from you before. So all the appearances are noted. Is there any other application?
Yes, please, Your Honors. The 4th named respondent would like to file a notice in cross appeal.
You haven't filed it as yet?
Not as yet, Your Honor.
So what's your application?
Well, I'm guided by the court.
Well,
I'll file in 24 hours.
But what is the nature of your application? What would it be?
Well, we are challenging the decision in most of it. Part of the decision, and we'll be able to lay over the appeal within 24 hours.
What will be your appeal? What exactly are you appealing?
We have several grounds of appeal. We're challenging, of course, the decision in relation to Order 60 and all the matters that are said to be res judicata. The question of Section 18 and Article 177, the constitutionality of those provisions.
So, Mr. Williams, the High Court had indicated that, well, it was indicated to the court at that time that appeals would be filed within 24 hours. We did get one today, a cross appeal, but we're about to set timelines for the submissions, and the submissions would have to include your cross appeal.
Yes, please.
So it would create some inconvenience if you haven't yet filed it, because we intend to hear this case on Saturday morning at 10.
We'll be, Your Honor, we'll be in time to try to get us out in a couple of hours.
Pardon me?
We'll be able to get us out in a couple of hours.
No, but the arguments in relation to your appeal will have to be included in all the submissions that we expect to receive according to the timelines that I'm about to fix. So when exactly are you planning to file your cross appeal? We would have to ask that you file it by email.
Yes, please, Your Honor.
That's in the course. When will you be able to file it?
We can file as directed, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, we will deal with your cross appeal when the time comes. But the court is going to go ahead and fix the timelines for submissions. And
Your Honor, if I may, before you go on to that, I am not certain, but I have written to my friend, Mr. Robertson, pursuant to Order 2, Rule 21, regarding security for costs. I don't know whether or not that has reached your desk or is part of your file as yet. I pointed it out to the registrar when we settled the records. My understanding of the rule is that that has to be dealt with prior to the commencement of the appeal.
well, the court is not yet in possession of that application.
Your Honor, it is not an application. The rule provides that before I make that application, a written demand shall be made by the respondent. I was wondering.
Robertson, is there anything you wish to say about that? What the court can indicate to you, Mr. Khan, is that the court intends to deal with this matter with some urgency, and the question of costs will be dealt with at the conclusion of the hearing, which we certainly at the time the court gives its decision, which will be quite shortly. So my colleagues on the bench will indicate their position, but I really don't see why you would want to delay the court on the question of security for costs. The court is making arrangements to proceed with this matter expeditiously. And
Your Honor, if I may, the intent here is not, I understand completely, Your Honor, and the intention here is not to delay the court, but I've been instructed to make the application, and I'm simply following the rule, and would simply like an indication from my friend, Mr. Robertson, regarding what the position of his client is. And based on that, one way or the other, I am prepared to move on.
Mr. Robertson, anything you wish to say in response, or you're being asked to respond? What's your response?
Your Honor, I will confirm that I did get the letter from my learned friend, Mr. Kaieteur Khan. The position of the applicant, Your Honor, is similar to the position just expressed by the court. We don't believe that the court should be preoccupied with that at this point, as this is a matter of national importance and national urgency.
What's your position on costs, security for costs?
Your Honor, we don't believe that there's a basis for a request for security for costs at this point.
I am guided, Your Honor. Most grateful.
Your Honor, just to clarify what you had indicated.
All right, to deal with Mr. Khan's application or Mr. Khan's request first.
Yes, I thought he was
not inclined to press on the issue of security for costs in light of the schedule that the court intends to follow for the hearing of this case. And so we will move on. Mr. Khan?
Most grateful, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Williams.
Yes, please, Your Honor. You mentioned that we were given 24 hours, but that was the appellant. We have received the appellant's appeal, and we would like to file a cross appeal. We have some grounds we wish to address, but we weren't given the 24-hour timeline. And that's why we are asking the court now in that regard. And we will undertake to get this file, as I had said earlier, within 24 hours, but I could try and get this out in a couple of hours.
All right, Mr. Williams, what we can do, we will proceed with the scheduling of the hearing as today's hearing was intended to do. We are going to fix the timelines for submissions.
Yes, please.
The court is going to deal by email with your application. We will be in touch with the attorneys involved in the case when the court sees your cross appeal. Until such time, we will proceed with what we have. And so, Mr. Williams, we will give you until when? Tomorrow morning to file your cross appeal?
Yes, please. Yeah. I'll try to get
That will be by 8 a.m. to file your cross appeal.
As it pleases you.
Your Honor, before the court embarks on fixing the timelines, I wish to inform the court that the third named respondent does not intend to participate in this appellate process.
All right, Mr. Boston, thank you. Yes, so the timelines are as follows. The submissions on behalf of the appellant to be sent by email by 9 a.m. tomorrow, Thursday, the 23rd of July. The respondent submissions are to be filed by midnight on Thursday, the 23rd. And in the submissions of the respondents, we would expect submissions by the 7th and 8th respondents in relation to their cross appeal to be included. So Mr. Mendez and Mr. Nandlal, Mr. Kisoon, and other counsel for those respondents. We expect that in addition to replying to the appellant submissions, you would also include your submissions on the cross appeal.
Understood, Your Honor.
And all the respondents are expected to file their responses by, as I said, midnight on Thursday. You will give the appellant until midday on Friday, the 24th, to reply to the submissions of the respondents, as well as to reply to the notice, to the submissions in relation to the cross appeal. So Mr. Jeremy, Mr. Ford, and other counsel for the appellants, in your final reply, you will include your reply to the submissions on the cross appeal. Now, would you, Mr. Mendez and Mr. Nandlal, want further time? Or do you think that you can deal with any reply in your oral arguments on Saturday? Would you want extra time for a further reply on the cross appeal?
I think, Your Honor, it will probably be the safest to give us the opportunity to reply in writing on Friday as well, so that the court will have our views before the hearing on Saturday.
And therefore, by 4 o'clock then, or 6 o'clock on Friday for your reply in writing?
6 o'clock would be more than adequate, Your Honors.
All right, so your final reply on the cross appeal will be sent by email to the court and to all parties by 6 p.m. on Friday, the 24th. And so that's the schedule for the hearing, which will take place on Saturday at 10 and conclude on the same day. Now we have some specifications that we want to lay out in relation to the submissions and the length of your submissions. We ask that those submissions be condensed into no more than 10 pages. And the font we ask to be no less than size 12, and the spacing 1.5 lines. So we expect that there will be compliance with our request, because we are concerned to expedite the hearing of the case, and we believe that the submissions can be condensed as we suggest. So we
Your Honor,
ask for compliance. Yes?
Sorry, Your Honor, is there any particular font you would require us to use?
No.
Because the fonts are 12, it may be of different sizes. Depending on the font that you use, size 12 may be of a different size.
What do you suggest, Mr. Mendez?
Well, in the court below and in the CCJ as well, we were required to use Times New Roman.
Well, we can adopt that. We can adopt Times New Roman, size 12, 1.5 lines in 10 pages.
Much obliged, Your Honor.
Yes. And so,
Your Honor,
yes?
if I may, Your Honor, a practice direction was issued in our courts, which allowed for 2 additional fonts. That is Courier New and Arial. I mention that, Your Honor, simply because it has been my experience that Courier in particular is a little bit more
All
legible.
right, Mr. Khan, we wouldn't split hairs over.
I just mentioned that, Your Honor, if we can be allowed to use either of those 2 additional fonts. But
yes, you can do so. Please go ahead and do that.
Guided.
Yes, so those are the choices, and size 12. So as I was saying, we intend to conclude the hearing on Saturday. And on Saturday, we will indicate when our decision will be rendered. Is there anything else that any of the parties would wish to bring to the court's attention?
Your Honor, if I may, Devendra Kisoon, just with respect, is there a speaking time limit?
Oh, yes. Time limits for submissions. Half an hour to the appellant on Saturday, and 20 minutes. I think that was the schedule in the High Court, 20 minutes for each of the respondents. We start at 10, we will take a 15-minute break at 12:30 and continue until the end. And the appellant will have another half hour to reply. But we'd have to we'll leave it open in relation to the cross appeals, whether any further time in reply would be necessary. So is there anything else any counsel would want to raise?
May it please, Your Honor. May it please, Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Ford?
Yes, please, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, in relation to the timelines that you have said, we understand that the court would like to deal with the matter expeditiously. Your Honor, speaking for the other counsel that appeared for the appellant, we were hoping that at least that we could have had a few hours more in order to properly put the submissions before the court. within the time frame, general time frame that the court had in mind for the hearing of the appeals. Your Honor, I was asking whether it is possible for us to have at least until 12 o'clock tomorrow instead of 9 as indicated by the court.
So that would affect the other submissions.
I don't think so, Your Honor. They have daylight hours, Your Honor. Many of the information that we may need access, as we had experienced in the past, Your Honor, having to work with submissions during the night, we were not able to have access to them during the nights, Your Honor.
So you will take a shorter time on Friday to reply. So you are to reply by midday, and we had ordered the respondents to send in their submissions by midnight tomorrow. So if you wish until 12, then we may have to give the respondents until next morning. Is there any response on that from any of the respondents?
Your Honor, speaking
yes.
Sorry, speaking for myself, if you would extend it to maybe 3 a.m. on the Friday.
I see.
I don't know if that would fit the convenience of my learned friends for the respondents.
But is that extension accepted by all the respondents instead of midnight, 3 a.m. by email?
We would agree to that, Your Honor.
That. All right.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, your voice is very faint on my system. When can we expect the submissions by the appellant?
They've asked for midday tomorrow. And so I've asked the respondents if they would be willing to push back on how much extra time they would need if we give Mr. Ford and his colleagues until midday instead of until 9 a.m. tomorrow. So if we give them until midday, how much more time would you need from midnight tomorrow night?
Yes, I heard my friends, Mr. Mendez and Mr. Dated in about 3 o'clock. That is quite all right with me. Thank you very much.
That's adequate for you, Mr. Jonas? All right, so that's the adjustment that we've made. 3 a.m. for the submissions of the other respondents. And the reply by the appellant by midday on Friday. And of course, the 6 o'clock for the 7th and 8th to reply on the cross appeal. So thank you very much, Counsel. Mr. Williams, we will await your cross appeal, and we will be in touch by email. So the hearing is fixed for Saturday at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Most grateful, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Much obliged.
Thank you.
Grateful, Your Honor.
Very much, Your Honor.
Right.